Hey guys, what's up? This is your boy Rick here, back with a video that I'm really been looking forward to about harnessing the power of words. Harnessing the power of words. This is something I've been just kind of thinking on for a while, and I had to just talk about this because it's so important. Just like scientists harness the power of nature to invent, and spiritual people harness spiritual forces in order to create things. And just as artists, like actors and musicians, harness the power of emotion to bring out stuff, so are words. But words are actually available to all of us because we all hear words, we all have words said to us, we all read, most of us anyway, in whatever language we have, we all speak. So words are really powerful. So I want to really talk to you about the power of harnessing words. First of all, I want to just prove to you because it is important that you harness the words that are around you, the words that you see, because most people don't do it. Uh, Not harnessing words and not taking words seriously is the reason why most people in our generation are very shallow minded. That is the reason why shallow mindedness is a big thing in our generation, where you know it's people only look at things at surface value. Uh, do you Let me give you an example of this. Do you know the world view of the people who you listen to and you follow all the time, whether they be leaders or your parents, or even, do you know their world views? Because they all get they have a world view that causes them to speak the way they speak. Do you do you do you know the motivation of your employer when they offer you a pension plan, or when they give you an employee benefit? Or do you just assume that's because they love you? A lot of times we just look at these things as surface value and we don't take it and understand that there is actually a worldview, and this is because we don't think deeply, and we don't look at the words that they're saying to us and understand that you can look deeper at this and you can harness the power of those words. So, you're going to get this a little bit more as I'm getting into it. So do words have power? Do words actually have power? Now, first of all, I'm not going to do the whole thing that people at self-improvement and self-development seminars always do, which is talk about the power that the words you talk and seek and speak have. I think that one has been beaten to death. I want to talk about the words that you listen to, the words that you read, and the words that you think about. Those are the words that I want to show you that you can actually harness them and create from them, and actually, convert those words into amazing things in your life. So they do have power. Words have power. And just look at it. I'll give you two examples. Words have the power to define a thing. Let's say you've been given a nickname. Let's look at nicknames, right? At school, we always used to give each other nicknames. Kids understand this straight away. When you're given a nickname, let's say you're given the nickname Fatso, like because you were chubby as a kid. That can really curtail you, because every time you try and if you really internalize those words that people called you Fatso, you can actually then start you can actually then start to believe that. And when you want to, let's say, for your health, you want to lose weight, but in your head, you're like, but they've always called me fatso. I've always been fatso. How can I, escape this? So, a lot of these words can be used to handicap you so that you don't actually go for what you want. Words have the power to define you and control you. But once you've been defined by somebody, you can be controlled. I have this, that as a black man, I refuse to be defined by the words of anybody. I am a black man, but you wouldn't know it if you really, because I refuse to be defined in any way, whether it's through some of the derogatory terms they give. I don't even listen to that. I don't even let that come into I don't even think about those kind of things. But also, and this is a more subversive one, which is the resentment merchants who try and come and sell me the fact that as a black man I am oppressed in one, two, three ways, whatever, and they try to keep me as a victim, because unfortunately I know that when I stay as a victim, they are handicapping me towards not achieving my potential. Because even though I'm a black man, I am a man, and man has power to create his own destiny, whether he be black, red, whatever. What's the second thing the power that words have? Words have hidden worlds behind them. Now, this is something I love because, when I was learning and, studying invention and innovation, there's a principle that's there, which is that behind everything, every object, there is a world. There is a world behind every object. And so innovators, we always encourage you to start by looking at the object that's already there, and then when you see the world behind it, you can then come up with innovations. Now, I thought that was only for physical objects, but I've realized that actually words are the same. Behind a word, behind words, there are definitions of it. Behind each word has, many definitions, and behind each definition comes it opens up another, you're like, oh yeah, I didn't even see that aspect of that word and what it can do, which allows you then to go down a rabbit hole and follow a word. Let me explain, and I love to explain with examples. I've studied the word work. When you think about work, what do you think? There's a lot of people, when you think about work, you think about a job, you think about whatever, but work can be defined in so many ways. Yes, it is a job, but also there are definitions of work where work is, your calling. Work is, the thing that your role that you're meant to play on the whole planet. Work is work is a tool that you can use to mine the gold that is inside you. So when you think about the word work that way, you are not just, you're not just concentrating on it's a job. So can you see, when you don't harness the power of a word, if you didn't know that work has other definitions, you would never think of work in another way, and so maybe even follow and try and find, what that would look like in your own life. Instead, you only go to a job and you're miserable in your job. Same can be said for many things. When I think about wealth, some people think, they only think about money. I have started to replace the word money with words like wealth, with words like resources, because when I think of wealth, it opens up my mind to the fact that it's not just money that makes you rich. That, there are other things that are in you that can be defined as your wealth. The only thing and the only problem is that you haven't monetized them yet. So think about that. That is how you harness the power. Words have power. So, to finish off this video, I want to talk about some steps that you can take to actually harness the power of words. Unpack the power, because the word is packed full of things and power in it that you can just unpack and see better and use in a better way. So number one, increase your vocabulary. That's the first thing. We are really in the 21st century. We have really limited our vocabulary, and yet we have so many tools that are available to us. If become a reader. And when I say become a reader, you see, back in the day, you could only read books. But now, you can read anything. Read the newspaper. Read online articles. But also, you can listen. Words, you can listen to them. You can listen to a podcast. If you don't like reading, listen to a podcast. Watch YouTube videos. Watch lectures. Watch TED Talks. Talk to people and understand. Get words spoken to you. And here's the kicker. When you get to a word that you don't understand or know, Google it, define it, download a dictionary app or a thesaurus, and understand what that word means. If you hear a word, don't be ashamed to say, I don't know what that means. Or even ask the person who's saying it. Ask what that means if you're talking to them physically. and find out similar words that mean the same thing to a word that you're using or that you're reading, so that you can play around with it, and then use those words. If you learn a new word, use it in a sentence and write it, use it in a Facebook status or something, but increase your vocabulary. you know Use big words for a change. Don't be just the person who never uses. Don't let your vocabulary be only like 5-letter words and below. Find out what those big words are and wait for people to ask you, what does that mean? So that you can define it and even just continue to learn. Because when you increase your vocabulary, now you have a bigger arsenal of words to harness. That's always the first step. That's the foundation. Become someone who increases their vocabulary. Now, the second thing about unpacking words is to take instructions seriously. Now, this is something that I say take instructions seriously. Take the advice in books. If you read a book and it gives you advice, try it. Look at it properly. Don't just skim around over it. If your boss asks you to do something, listen and do, and take it further. Don't just do a surface thing, but really understand, okay, what they mean, and deliver exactly. Ask them questions to clarify. Do they want this done? Do they want it done this way? Next time someone asks you to do something for them, trust me, the way you respond and the way you carry out the instruction, which depends on whether you understood the words that were used, is going to define for them how much, what kind of a person you are. It will define to them what kind of a person you are. Because trust me, a lot of I am looking for people. I am looking for people who follow instructions. Do you know how much I'm looking for people who follow instructions? I would employ someone who follows instructions to the letter in a heartbeat. One of the reasons why I am a good ghostwriter is because when I'm looking at the material that my client has said, this is the kind of book I want written. When I look at that material, I don't then try and give them my own version and try and convert it into my own words or whatever. I think they meant this. No. I'm looking at what they said and what their material is, and that is the book I'm going to deliver for them. Those are the principles I'm going to deliver for them and nothing else. And that makes me, someone, my clients are like, wow, you don't know how many people, I have tried to hire who didn't use my own words. They were trying to go, do their own thing. Now, the third thing is then you need to, when you have a word, how to unpack a word, you need to connect a word to a picture and turn it into a picture. If I said to you, mother, do you think of the word MOTHER, or do you picture your mum in your head? Do you then say, oh yeah, my mum? You see your mum. That's what happens in your head. There's a word picture. So start to connect words to pictures. When you say a word, when you see a word, when you read a word, just look away from the book for a little bit and just think what picture comes in your head. If you didn't know, then find it out. Google it. Figure out. Because if you have pictures, see, pictures are the ways. And that's the crucial part of which you can connect a word into what it means. The picture that you see in your mind. Your mind looks at pictures. So understand that. Now the fourth step when you've got a picture is you build your pictures. You build your pictures and your concepts to create products. That's the thing now. So let's say you have a pitch in your head. You're thinking of, a word like, I don't know. Actually, I'll use something that I love. I was thinking of something that's where I say write the vision and make it plain. It's a passage from my favorite book of all time. Write the vision and make it plain. And I was just thinking to myself, write the vision. In my head, I'm starting to think the picture of a vision. It's a big kind of picture. It's a big dream. It's something like that. I'm like, wow. So when I have that big dream, I need to write it down. And so I am now taking the picture of me writing down a dream. And I'm like, okay, so how can I write it down? So I'm now thinking, whenever I get good ideas, my vision, I need to turn them into books. I need to turn them into articles. I need to turn them into videos. Write them down. Because when you write it down, I'm thinking now, all right, the concept there is to record. Now, the book was written back in the day when all you could do was write down stuff. But now I can record it as a video. I can record it as an audio. That is what it means to connect your pictures, to build on your pictures and concepts to create products. And so the thing of the sentence, write the vision and make it plain, has now turned into a whole blog full of products that I'm turning. This is how artists turn a word into a whole song. They get an inspiration of a word. Then they see a picture of what this is. And so when they're a lyricist, they then write out a song. If they're a melodist, then they see a picture and it makes them feel an emotion. And then they use that emotion to become a melody and maybe a symphony or whatever. That's how you turn into a product. This is how a script writer thinks of a concept, an idea, and they're having it, and they're just like, wow. They think about democracy in their head, and then all of a sudden they come up with a script for a whole movie based on a word because they built on the picture. They saw democracy. What would it look like? What would be happening? What would what would a person look like who's carrying that out? And all of a sudden, that person becomes the main character of their movie, and they turn it into something amazing. If you're not writing this down, you're not getting it, because this is how you harness the power of words, guys. I would love you to harness the power of the words that you read, what you listen to. If you're watching this on Facebook, you're probably inundated with words all over your timeline. There's so many words, but what are you turning it into? What are those words that are running around in your head? Siphon them out and harness them. Harness their power. And the last bit is to sell the product. If it's good enough, sell it. If you've got the goods, you can monetize what you produce. You can monetize it. I'll give you an example, right? So this piece that I'm doing here is a short little video, like accompanied by an article. Make sure you like the article. Make sure you like my page. Get more of this innovative stuff. But if this is free stuff that I'm giving because it's a little bit of time for me, but it's free stuff. It's short that I give. But if I'm doing the 4-hour seminar that I do, like 4-hour hands-on workshop, where literally we are working with creatives and showing them how to go from nothing or just an inspiration all the way to having a finished product or service that is really good, and you do a good product when you do it in an area that is your area of expertise, because you have the knowledge then to build on the picture. Because if you all you got was a picture but you didn't have the knowledge, you were never ever going to turn it into a product that's good enough. But if you're turning a product that's good enough, you concentrate on what you're good at, what you have spent hours and hours and hours of your life researching and practicing, because that is what you can then turn into things. So but that workshop, it's a 4-hour or half-day workshop. That's something I would charge for, because that is something that is invaluable for creatives. People will come up with a book out of that. People will come up with an album out of that. People will come out with a sculpture. They can turn something into a sculpture. People will come up with scientific inventions from that. People will come out with a whole series of lessons and sermons and messages. But you see, that is how you monetize the thing. So, thanks for giving me your time, guys. Really enjoyed it. I know it was a bit of a long video, but again, make sure you like the page. Tell me what you think. Let's start to harness the power of our words and start to make them into amazing products. Let's just start thinking deeply about things, because when you think deeply, that's how you can actually live in this world powerfully without being duped. If you live like that, you won't be duped by people. You won't be duped by people who are preying on how shallow your mind is. Okay. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.